Hi, welcome. I'm here today with my client, Natalie. Natalie, thank you so very much for joining me today. We're going to have a little conversation about some of Natalie's history with dieting and weight and healthy eating and all of that stuff and her process and the changes that she's experienced since joining. So welcome, Natalie. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited that you've agreed to do this. So
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me, Ronnie. I'm excited too.
yeah, thanks. I know it's going to help a lot of people. I know you shared some of your story in our group earlier this year, and I know that it really inspired a lot of our newer members. So I'm really excited because I know that this is going to inspire a lot of people and give a lot of hope to people who are where you used to be. Yeah. So speaking of where you used to be, do you mind starting maybe just back there? Like, do you remember before you started this process, what, where you started then, what life was like back then?
So before I started the process, I had gone on another weight loss journey and lost
How many of those have you done?
Well, I've lost count.
Yeah.
This particular one was initiated by a diagnosis of diabetes.
Mhm.
And so I went forward and I thought I was doing all the right things. I spent my time with my dietitian, et cetera, et cetera. And anyway, as time went by, the weight began to come back.
Right. As it
And
does.
as it does. And I was fighting that. I was fighting it really hard. And I knew that this went beyond like food type of thing. I needed help. And my physician even suggested that I would get some support
Mhm.
in different area than through a dietitian type of thing. And so at that point, I had discovered, well, I had known actually about your program, and then I, revisited, and as luck would have it, at that time you were starting a new
New round.
course and whatever else like that, and then so I joined because at that point in time, I just knew, I knew that, like, I just have done this so many times. I needed to get to the real root
Mhm.
of what was going on.
Mhm.
A diet wasn't
Yeah.
going to fix
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so at that time, I was feeling a lot of anxiety, and my doctor had prescribed me anxiety medication
Mhm.
to help cope
Anxiety
with the.
over the weight, the weight coming back and the food issue?
Well, at the first of it, I didn't accept that that's what it was.
Right.
I blamed it on everything else in my life, right?
Yeah.
Until I started to really understand what
Mhm.
was going on with me. And then I realized that the anxiety and the depression lived in this battle that I was
Yeah.
having with myself every single day.
Yeah.
Um, and so, so then I decided that I would take a new route
Mhm.
and, join with you and
Yeah.
try to work through,
Yeah.
which
And
we
I
did.
remember when you first joined, I mean, every client I've ever worked with always has all kinds of rules that they've been trying to follow around the food that they eat. But I think I think when you shared some of yours, I think they might have been the most about. I even did a podcast episode on some of your food rules because there were so many rules. Do you remember some of the rules that you had made about food and where they
Well,
came from, obviously?
yeah, well, and all I did was simply, when we had a conversation one day about my restrictions and my rules and everything else like that, I just went out to my kitchen,
Yeah.
took a pen and paper, and I just went through my pantry. I went through my fridge. I didn't even step outside my door into what I would eat beyond the walls of my own home. And I had a list, everything. I actually
So
even,
long.
I even wouldn't allow myself to drink tea. I've been
Yeah.
drinking tea since I can remember in the morning, and I
Mhm.
would have a teaspoon of honey in it,
Mhm.
but honey was off limit.
Yeah.
That was sugar.
Couldn't
You
eat
can't
enough
have
food.
that. So for 2 years, so every piece of food had a rule on it,
Mm,
but I didn't realize that it was a rule.
yeah.
I thought that was a normal way of thinking, that people that were trying to control their weight
Yeah.
had to have rules.
This is the healthy way to do it, right?
Yes, that's right. I'm being active in trying to fix my problem by
Yes.
having all these rules. And you know what? I couldn't believe the
Yeah.
list
It was
when
long.
I finished.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so you're trying to do all of the things you think you're supposed to be doing to eat healthy. Um, but how healthy was it really? So can we talk a little bit about, when you started digging into all of the rules that you had around food, can you talk a little bit about what you started noticing about how those food rules made you feel and then the behaviors that would result from them? What did you start noticing about that?
Well, at the point that I came into your life, I was in a full restrict and binge cycle.
Yeah,
And those restrictions definitely triggered
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Um, the um, the the rules were just overwhelming. They were, exhausting, because every time you put food in your mouth, which as humans we do a lot in the run of a day
Yeah.
or a week, and there was rules, and if it was a rule that I was breaking,
Hmm.
then would be negative self-talk and
Hmm.
even punishment
Yeah.
toward myself, because I'd be angry at myself. I'd be disappointed. I'd be, enraged. And
Yeah.
then if I followed the rules, by the end of the day, I was so hungry,
Hmm.
so restricted,
Yeah.
I'd go into a full-blown binge
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
with a promise that tomorrow would be the better day, that I'd follow the rules better or
Hmm.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Um, Promises that I'd make myself that
Oh, as we
just,
all do.
yeah. And every time you break those promises, it only adds to your suffering, because now you're letting yourself down more, which means you want to, be more angry with yourself or stricter with yourself, or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
healthy,
and
right?
that's,
And then we wonder why we're
yeah,
anxious and
it's
depressed.
really though, right? It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, because my anxiety and depression didn't start until after I lost the weight and was trying to follow all the rules too. That's when mine started.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
and we
that's
but
right.
we blame we don't see that. We blame ourselves for that too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so as time went on, and I started to, and it seems like a simple thing when you say it out loud,
Mhm.
that I recognized that I was doing that and that it was unhealthy, rather
Yeah.
than that was normal. That was what
Mhm.
you expected yourself to do. That's what a good dieter does, right?
But not even a good diet or
When you,
even a good healthy eater. Because like you said in the beginning,
yeah,
I was trying to do what I was supposed to do for my health. I was trying to do what I was taught
exactly.
I was supposed to do for my health. This is what I was taught I needed to do for my health. I needed to control my intake. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's where it went. And the problem, once I realized it and I could see it
Mhm.
in my mind, not that it happened in one day, over
Yeah.
time it took me,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
when I realized and understood what I was actually doing to myself,
Mhm.
allowed me the the ability to say to myself that, you know what, you can't do that anymore to yourself, because it's making your problem worse.
Yeah.
And understanding that it was built off of diet industry telling
Yeah.
us constantly what to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so, you wanted to believe them. They're, obviously they must know something we don't know. So yeah, they have the secret. So we latch on to that and we run with it. And
Mm.
yeah, so it destroyed my mental health, and it
Yeah.
destroyed, even to the point where, I woke up in the middle of the night
Mhm.
after a binge, angry again,
Mhm.
and said, that's it. I'm going to go get weight. I was on Messenger, messaging a family member who had it,
Weight loss
another family
surgery.
member who went to, yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to go cut myself apart to try to fix whatever it was that was broken. And,
Yeah.
and that works for some people and everything. It depends on your situation, depends on who you are. That's fine. I'm not judging anyone that has done that. But for me, my situation was, my thinking. Um,
I remember when you shared your story in the group and you talked about that moment when you were so desperate, you were looking for the weight loss surgery, and you said something that really like just like my heart, it just was like, oh, you said kind of what you just said there. I was that was it. I was going to cut that part of me out, that broken part of me out. It was the only thing that I could think of to fix the problem. Just cut the brokenness out of me. And even now when I think about it, it breaks my heart that we
oh,
can
me
feel
too.
that way, that we can feel like there's this piece of us that's so broken that the only way to fix it is to just cut this brokenness out. It just that really like that was a powerful statement. But you didn't
There was
go that route, thankfully.
no, I did not. I did not.
You doubled
And
down on your efforts here and you worked really, really hard.
yeah, and even at that time that I was, in that desperate moment of considering the weight loss surgery, I said to my doctor,
Mhm,
because she was really good to stay in touch with me because
mhm,
she knew that this struggle was, that's one thing that I do see. I have a younger doctor, and
mm.
weight is no longer, just move more, eat less type of.
Mm,
She was very
yeah.
supportive through this process and very encouraging and non-judgmental. So I really appreciated her
Mhm,
being that way too. But I also, at that point in time, I said to her, I said, I just don't want to live like this anymore.
yeah.
If I have to continue to live like this, I don't want to live.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and I meant that. I meant that. And so, it was a real, I think that was a real pivotal moment for me because I was at the make it or break it point that I
yeah.
had to dig in deeper to what we were working on,
Yeah.
um, or give up on myself again.
Yeah.
And
And you dug
so
in
I didn't.
deeper.
I dug in deeper. I dug in a lot deeper. And
Like when you said that, um, when you said that if I have to keep living like this, it's I don't want to do it. I felt that in my chest because I remember feeling that way too. I can remember saying that to my therapist, like I can't do it anymore. I
yeah,
cannot. It's soul crushing. Like it's killing me. I cannot do this anymore. I need
yep,
I need to do something. And I think that that's the point we have to get to. We have to get to the point where if this is all there is, then like I can't, this cannot be all there is to life. There's got to be a better way to live. And so, while it hurts my heart that you got to that stage, I am glad that you did because you did redouble your efforts. You worked really, really hard. Um, and I know that it was not always easy and it was scary at times. But
mhm.
what was that experience like, and what's life like now? Like, what's changed since then?
So my process was a long one. So you and I
Yeah.
started together in,
Took a
was
while.
it, was it October of 2019 or
I
2020?
don't
Maybe
remember.
2020.
Yeah, it was.
So,
Yeah, I
and
think
it's
then.
2022 now, right? So we've
Yeah.
been together for a long time. So just so
Mhm.
that people know that this is not something you should, like, some people it's quick, but
Yeah, I mean, I've had some
yeah,
clients go through the initial process and come out the other side and just be like, that was amazing. I can't believe how quick it worked and everything's wonderful. Other
yeah.
clients take longer and everybody's different. And I always joke, and I probably joked with you if you remember when you joined, no matter how long you take, you'll get there faster than I did.
It's true. You did say that. I remember. And
Yeah.
I also remember teasing you saying that I'll be the one that's around for a long, long time. Because I
Yeah,
knew that
they're
I had
deep.
a lot to work through,
Yeah.
and I was prepared to do that.
Mhm.
And not that, like you say, sometimes I wanted to give up because it was really hard.
Yep.
Um, so right now, another turning point for me was the ability to give myself permission.
Mhm.
Giving myself permission to take the clothing that no longer fit me out of my closet,
Yeah.
because that also was a form of punishment every day, going in and wishing I could either wear them or trying them on and they don't fit, or
Yeah.
they're too tight or whatever. I removed them from my closet and I went out and bought clothing that actually fit.
Yeah.
And I dressed myself the way I wanted without rules on
Mm.
that, meaning that, it didn't have to be an oversized shirt to try to hide
Yeah.
something. Have to be a pair of pants that weren't tights type of thing. So I
Mhm.
got beyond all of those things and dressed myself the way I wanted. And then we were going on a trip last
Mhm.
fall to Jamaica. And so, every trip you ever take is, well, before I leave, I want to lose some weight. And at that point, when we booked it in the summer, those thoughts, they still exist for me,
Mhm.
but I recognize them
Yeah.
now. And instead of acting on them, I ask myself, is this going to serve me in any way?
Yeah.
And so I said to myself, no, it's not. I'm not ready or in a place where weight loss can live in my life.
Mm.
But I want to go on a trip with my husband and my
Yeah.
friends, and I deserve to go and have fun. It doesn't matter what size I'm wearing.
Mhm.
And that's it, I'm going. And so I gave myself that permission to go there. And so once I did it and I allowed myself these things, it seemed like I was really starting to gain traction
Yeah.
in my life, type of thing that, you know, um, you don't have to punish yourself anymore by not going on the trip or not wearing the clothes that you want. I can live my life exactly the way I want
Yeah.
today in the body that I have. Oh, so, so good, right?
Yeah.
Um, and not that everything's perfect right now. I
Yep.
still am working on things,
Yep.
but do I wake up in the middle of the night Googling weight loss surgery? No. I'm not no longer on depression medication
Mm.
because I didn't need that anymore. I
Yeah.
was I was working through my issues and I wasn't, rather
Mhm.
be dead than live this
Yeah.
life. That doesn't exist for me anymore. I don't have anxiety medication anymore. So there's a lot of in that regard.
Changes you didn't even expect, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and I live my days now with and you've often asked us, like, what do you need today?
Yeah.
How do you feel today? And those things never occurred to me to ask. You just got up and it was, you just go forward and you
Time to
just do
lose
your day.
weight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? And as an example, today I woke up today and I didn't have a good sleep last night.
Mhm.
And so I said to myself, I'm going to be hungrier today
Mhm.
than I usually am because I'm tired.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm going to feel like that.
Mm.
And so what I'm going to do this afternoon is I'm going to lay down because if I don't do that,
Yeah.
I'm going to feel horrible all day. And if I
Yeah.
couldn't do it, that's fine too. I would consciously decide that I'm going to bed early tonight, that extra hour,
Yeah.
whatever I have to
Oh,
do to look after me.
that's so good.
Um, so that's how my mind, works now. And around
Mm.
food, there's no restrictions.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that I want, I don't binge anymore.
Oh.
And even my snacky overeating
Mhm.
episodes and stuff like that, they are lessening all the time
Yeah.
because I am practicing the stop.
Mhm.
Um, did it this morning actually. I had
Mm.
some breakfast and then around a half an hour later or so, I was like, oh, I'm hungry. And,
Mhm.
and then I just kind of sat with myself and I said, no. I said to myself this morning, I had a bad sleep. I knew this
Mm.
was going to happen. So I got up and I had a piece of fruit and then I moved on from that rather than
Mhm.
just sitting on the couch, digging into whatever
Yeah.
and letting that be my day type of
Yeah.
thing, right?
Mm.
So there's an understanding in
Yeah.
my mind now of what's happening to me.
Yeah. Oh, I love
when
that.
I'm in those moments.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been starting to
So
move your body more just for the sake of moving your
yes,
body?
and
You've been working on your relationship with
yeah,
exercise as well?
much healthier.
Yes.
So um I just, if I'm today I'm tired, I will not make
Yeah.
any effort to do that. If I have a good sleep tonight and tomorrow I wake up and I want to, I will.
Yeah.
And it's just
And
basically
that's okay.
exactly 100%. And the only thing I'm trying to kind of figure out right now with the movement thing is something that's fun.
Mhm.
That's what I really want to find, is something that I enjoy. I like going for walks. I do
Yeah.
enjoy that, not in the winter when it's colder, but something else.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. So, you know what I
Imagine
mean? Because
imagine
I guess my thinking of exercise,
yeah, the way that you approach it is changing because before it was punishment, right? Punishment to try to lose weight.
yes.
Yeah, and now what can I do
Yeah.
that's fun? I
Well,
love that. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the point.
yeah.
Let's just make it be something that helps me feel better and that I genuinely just enjoy. Imagine that. Who'd have thought that was
Yeah.
possible a few years ago?
Exactly. And it's not about how many calories burned. It's not about how much
Yeah.
time spent. It is about, when I think of exercising, of, you know, the action of that, it's more to, I think, like, it's good for my heart, it's good for my
Yeah.
strength, and just like looking after my body, not
Mhm.
about, oh, well, then, that's another X amount of pounds lost in the run of a
Yeah.
month, or it has nothing to do with weight. It
Yeah.
has everything to do with my well being and looking after my body.
Yeah. Oh, I love that
Yeah.
so much.
Feels good. One
So,
less thing to have a rule on.
yes. Yeah, so many rules.
Yes.
So, what would you say to somebody else, somebody who's out there right now that might be watching this, who is where you were before starting this work? Maybe the night you were searching for Mexico for the trip to Mexico for the surgery. Like, what would you say to somebody
Man.
who's out there right now and who is still in that before and still in that struggle? What would you say to them,
Mhm.
just in general and about this process?
Well, I would say to them that there is a way to feel better.
Mm,
Don't give up. That you deserve
yeah.
to have peace in your life
Mm,
on all levels. So, you know, don't be afraid, don't be embarrassed to reach
mm.
out. That's another thing that I was leery on. Oh my gosh, I gotta get on these
Yeah.
calls with these gals, and all of a sudden you're like, you're friends forever and whatever. And it just felt so natural. It felt so good. And it felt like it was safe. It
Yeah.
was safe to say everything and anything.
Mhm.
You didn't have to hide anymore. So don't don't think that there's nowhere to be or no
Mm.
one that can help. Reach out.
God.
Just, you've tried everything else. If you've tried
Mhm.
everything else, try this.
Yeah.
And don't give up, because like I said to you, there was lots of times I wanted to give up. It
Yeah.
was easier to give up than it was to keep going and dig and dig and work the process, right?
Yeah, some days it can feel easier, right? But the reality is when we think about it, it's really actually not easier. Because when we give
It's
up,
not.
we just stay in that cycle of just like,
Yeah.
I can't live like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it can
Yeah.
it can feel easier sometimes because sometimes, diving into some stuff can be scary. So, but worth
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I would say to anyone that's there, because every one of our situations is unique but the same at the same
Yes.
time. And that desperation, I think, is what is the same for all of us that are
Mhm.
struggling in these ways.
Yeah.
Um, and just do it and be patient. Be patient.
Yeah.
I am the most stubborn human being. I am.
Me too.
And yeah, and I just, like, you know what I mean? But once I started turning that corner and
Yeah.
really getting there. It feels good.
Mhm.
And even though I still have work to do, I'm okay
Yep.
with that.
Yep.
That's good. That's fine. But I can see
The
that I'm
shifts.
gaining my traction all throughout this, and that I feel so much different every
Mm,
day of my life that I would never want to go back to living
mm,
in that mindset that I was in, digging for where can I get that cut out of me.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you,
Mhm.
Natalie.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for joining me, and thank you for being so willing to share this, because you talked about, the fear of talking about our stuff and whatever in the group calls, and I know that it's not always easy. So thank you for being willing to share, for having the courage, because I know that there's going to be somebody that watches this that's going to hear your story, and that's going to feel so much hope, and that's going to just going to feel seen, and they're going to feel heard for perhaps the first time. And just that in itself is like throwing somebody a life jacket when they feel like they're drowning. So thank you so much for being willing to join me and do this today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being part of my journey.
Mm. Until next time.